Right, good morning, welcome guys. Hey, we'll get started. Okay, so today is the 26th of January. And as usual, what we're going to do at the first half of this portion is to go through some of the trades that we talk about, the active trades, the pending trades, okay, and to see how we're going to manage it. And from there, what we're going to do next is to look at today's market and see if there's any opportunity that we can look to participate in. Hey, sorry if you actually hear some background noise. I think there's some renovation work doing at the lower floors. Okay, I'm not sure if that's affecting it, but I'll do my best to speak as clearly as I can. All right, so now it's week 4. So far for this week, the performance is break even flat. Right, we exited one trade on pound dollar at break even yesterday. So let's take a look at what are some of the trades that we have right now. Okay, so first up, we do have the euro dollar running. This trade was actually entered like on Friday, okay, last Friday. So it's already like the 3rd day into it. Usually we don't hold trades so long, okay, but we are targeting about 70 pips, right? So again, one minor thing that minor details that perhaps is also important for you guys to take note of is to understand the volatility and the daily average movement of each pair. Okay, so euro dollar, of course, the average daily range has been falling. I think right now on in the recent times, it's about like 50 pips or so a day. Okay, so if you are looking at like 70 pips, of course, you can't expect it to move in a day and then hit your target. Okay, there are days that definitely is outlier, is going to move more, but you understand the average daily range of euro dollar perhaps around 50 pips, then you know, okay, you need to give it time. Okay, yesterday the market came very, very close to where we want to take profit. It's like 10 pips away, okay, but it didn't really hit, okay. So as of today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shift this a little bit up. For those of you who are in this trade here, you might want to also adjust your take profit. Yeah, I mean, sorry, instead of shifting up, I would say we can actually move it lower. Okay, so I'll even look to capitalize more on it, right? Since it's already a break even, it's risk free for this trade. Let's see how far we can ride. So for this trade here, the take profit, I've shifted to today's level L5. Let's see if it hits there. Okay, the price point here is about 1.2070 around there. Okay, 1.2070, and let's see if today we get that move to the downside, right? So that's another about like 80 pips or 75 pips. Okay, let's see how it goes. Nothing much on this trade. We're just gonna keep it there running. The other one is on pound dollar. This was actually shared yesterday. Okay, let me show you that, right? So this was shared yesterday. This technique here is what we call double top divergence. Wait for the 618 retracement. Okay, so what you see over here is that, let me bring out my brush too. Okay, so what you see is, of course, this is where the divergence happened. This is where the topping formation is, right? We took this trade last week where it's the break of the neckline, and then, of course, it again misses our target by a bit, retraces and hit us out at break even. Okay, and yesterday, of course, when we were sharing in the English session, which was earlier of the day, right? We were still in this trade before it hits break even, so that there wasn't, a new trade that's entered. But when we were sharing during the Chinese session, okay, the trade was out, okay, and what I saw, of course, is the opportunity to get back in. Okay, because of this, right? Double top divergence, a retracement of 618. Okay, so you can see over here where we entered around that 61.8. Of course, there's a minor drawdown, and then after that, price just started to come back down. Okay, so what we have done is we have shift our stops to break even. Initially, it's at the top over here. Okay, we have shift it to break even, and of course, let's see how far this can go. Okay, so as of now, the target is here. You can see where the previous structure is. But I will be more than willing to actually shift it to L5, and let's just see how far this trade can run. Okay, if I were to take some fib adjustment, there is some confluence over here as well. You can see 141. That's what we call an internal extension. Okay, this is what we call a regular extension, is around 127, right? So around the L5 region, that's where we might want to focus our target on. Okay, now for those of you perhaps who are not in this trade yet, because maybe you know you didn't participate or join us in the Chinese session, right? You know, I there's certain things that I can't control, like for example, when the market is moving, you know, the timing and such. I won't be able to control that because I do my best to do this session in the morning because that's where the market move less. Okay, and that's where we have more time to actually talk about all this trade, right? Because when London kicks in, US kicks in, everything is moving. Okay, it's a little bit difficult for you to catch on to such trade. Okay, but at times like yesterday, that's something that, you know, 10 o'clock we talk about it. We are in one trade, and then because we're in one trade, we won't look at another one. Okay, and then when 11 o'clock when I talk about it, we are out of that trade, a break even, and I saw an opportunity, right? Okay, so I hope you understand that perspective as well, because you won't be able to capture every trade or even 100% of all opportunities in the market. Okay, there'll be some opportunities you miss along the way anyway. Okay, but for those of you who are not in this trade, I think there is still an opportunity that you can capitalize on. I think the whole picture here on pound dollar is I'm bearish on this. Okay, so if I were to suggest a direction for you to focus, is definitely going to be looking at sell. Okay, both from daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. I think even if you go down to 30 minutes, you can consider this sell here, right? Based on this setup, right? This is a consolidation. Of course, the break here is at L3 level. We do have some camarilla intraday confluences. Now, so would I take this trade? Yeah, I might. Okay, because this trade here already, let's say, is a break even. Okay, I will look to scale in one more time. Okay, the idea of scale in is you already have a trade running, is profitable, is risk free. You add on another trade and ride it as much as I can. Okay, so let me take this previous order out so that it's clearer. Okay, so how are we gonna execute this trade here if I'm gonna take it? Okay, same thing. The target is gonna be somewhere around L5. The entry will be around L3. Okay, the stop loss here would be just above this previous high level. Okay, so that gives us about a 30 pips of stop. It's pretty tight for the volatility of pound dollar, but you know, we are looking at about 50 pips only. So that kind of risk reward is, you know, is fairly okay. The more conservative, of course, you can put it all the way up here, but I think it's unnecessary because the idea here is if this breaks, we want it to go, right? We do not want it to go back up. Okay, so this is how I'm going to put it, about 30 pips of stops. Let me take a photo of this and of course update the PowerPoint, right? The PPT for you guys as well. Right, where is it? Okay, so this is on pound dollar. This was yesterday, so we're going to remove that. Today, it's a sell stop. Not remove the order, right? For those of you who are in, it's just removing this chart here, okay, to keep you guys all updated. So the entry of this is gonna go in around, I would say it's around 3655. Okay, and the stop here is about 85, right? 3685. So that gives us a 30 pips of stops. The target is here at the L5, which is around 36. Okay, so let me update that image as well. Okay, so I hope you can see based on all this screenshot, right, the logic behind why we're entering. Okay, so let me put in that order as well. Seems like it's really moving now, right? So this is a sell stop, right, at the price of 3655. Stops is at 3685, and of course the target here is 36. Right, so that's how it looks like. Okay, let me just clean up a little bit so you can see, right? We do have one trade running. Let me just adjust this a little bit to factor in some of the spread and things like that, right? But you get an idea, right? It's somewhere around there. Okay, so this is on pound dollar. This is the first one. Let me just remove this too so that it's not confusing. Okay, the other trade that is running right now is New Zealand dollar. Again, this was like last week's trade. Okay, it's still running. I'm just gonna leave it there. Yeah, this trade doesn't look very good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just shift my target all the way up around the L4 level, and if I can get out at break even, I'll be more than happy to exit this trade. Okay, now I'll talk about the opportunities later on. I think there's an opportunity on that. Okay, other than that, we have two pending orders, right? The dollar CAD and the dollar yen. We're gonna remove that for now first. Okay, and we're gonna reanalyze for today and see if there's any opportunities to get involved in. Okay, so quick one here. We have two trades running, euro dollar and the pound dollar, right? And of course, because we were talking about pound dollar, I immediately went into like the opportunity for today they can look out for. Okay, so with that, okay, let's look at some of the opportunities we can trade for today. Okay. So the first one we talked about it already was pound dollar. Let's look at Aussie dollar. Okay, if you take a look at 4 hour, right, Aussie dollar is basically in a range bound environment. Okay, and usually during this period, that's where I talk about it. You use the methodology called harmonic patterns. We do have one pattern forming over here. Okay, which is just completed, right? Yeah, so never mind. The pattern is called Godly. It's already done. Okay, we missed it like yesterday late night. Okay, it taxed this level and then it started to bounce already. So I'm not gonna chase it, that's for sure. So I'm just gonna leave it there. The other pattern here, of course, you can also identify is a potential. Let me just do a quick measurement. A potential sharp pattern. Yeah, the ratio is a sharp pattern. Okay, so this sharp pattern here is on the 30-minute. It looks like that. Okay, it's a bearish sharp, right? So we are looking to sell it, but let me take a look at the range of where price is to where we are looking to get involved. Okay, that's about 60 pips. Unlikely we're gonna get it today because for price to move up here on 60 pips, it's not gonna happen like within a few candles, right? If that happens, I'm not gonna get involved in it as well. But I'm gonna put it here and just give it another day, right? I'm not gonna enter this order right now, but if by tomorrow this whole setup is still valid, then we might enter the trade tomorrow. Okay, so this is what we call a sharp pattern. Okay. So I'm going to leave it here as of now, nothing much. For those of you who are keen, the stop is definitely going to go above this high. And of course, the target here, we can base on camarilla, but I think today, because we're not entering, okay, the camarilla level wouldn't be relevant. You can, of course, use your 61.8 Fibonacci as well. Okay, for targets 2, that's where it comes in here. And of course, target 1 is trade 2, right? So we'll talk about this in detail in terms of targeting for tomorrow. Okay, because I'm not going to put in the order now. Okay, Kiwi dollar, this trade here, I'm looking to get out. I think it's, in terms of duration of time, it's already far too long. It needs. We got in last week. Price is just basically not moving. I don't like to be in the trade where the price are just not moving, especially on an intraday basis. Okay. On the lower time frame, on a higher time frame, we might see a potential kind of like rebound. Okay, the key idea here is you want to keep an eye on this level, right? Because once price break this here, we do not have a lower low, lower high, and the entire downtrend from this high here to here is gonna be invalidated. Okay, so take note of that. Okay. There is a setup, but I'm just not very keen to kind of like jump onto that. Okay, let me just hide those orders so that it's clearer. Yeah, that's a bad pattern, right? But I think it's a little bit too early, same as Aussie dollars. It's just a little bit too early to put in the trade. Okay, the bad pattern looks something like this, where if price were to come down towards this level here around 711, okay, we'll be looking for the buy trade. But you know where we are right now to that drop is about 80 pips. It's not likely going to happen by today. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here as well. I'm not going to enter. Okay, just leave it and see how it goes. Now, dollar CAD, of course, prices continue going higher. That's what we initially wanted to capitalize on, right? But it didn't retrace deep enough for us to enter right now. What I'm seeing over here is we do have a divergence, so you want to be cautious on this. Okay, where there's a likelihood price can retrace back down. Okay, the idea here is then, do you want to take this breakout, right? Because if you remember, we talked about this on pound dollar. We have two trade setups that looks exactly like this, right? And both of it works out perfectly fine. Okay, but over here, you want to take note of where this divergence is forming, right? Let me clear up the chart a bit. Where this divergence is forming, it's not forming at all-time high. If you take a look at this, okay, it's not forming at real high, right? Because you have a high over here. So the idea is that this can drop and then after that go back up. Okay, so you want to be very cautious on this. It's definitely a very short-term move. Okay, and you want to check on whether it's worth taking that kind of I would say risk to reward ratio, because you're risking your money in, right? You want to ask yourself, is it worth taking that? Okay, so the risk reward here is okay, is decent. The stops are not too narrow as well. It's about 30 pips of stops. That's pretty fine. Yeah, so I have my doubts on this trade. Somehow, you know, it's a little bit that kind of feel, right? And I think since I'm already in the pound dollar setup, right? I'm honestly not too keen on this. Okay, for some reason, it's just not the clearest, most obvious setup. But again, for those of you who are keen to just keep an eye and monitor it, the entry is somewhere around 2727. Okay, around there. The stops, you need to put it above this high, which kind of come in around 2755. Okay, so that's about 20-30 pips of stops, and then your target, you're just gonna put it here conservatively at the L4 level. That brings us to 1.2685. All right. Now I'm not too keen on this. Okay, so I'm not gonna jump into it because I'm still overall bullish on this pair, right? So if you ask me to sell it, that's where it goes a little bit counter trend, not something that I'm very happy to take on. Okay. Next up, we do have the dollar yen. Okay, now dollar yen, I will be very interested to look for the buy. Okay, we talked about this since I don't know, some time back. Okay, so I'm definitely looking for buy. Right, yesterday we looked for the buy. Price didn't really come to where we want to get involved in. Of course, we are looking at that again. Same thing, double bottom. Wait for the 618 retracement. Price just continue to go higher. Okay, so let's do a very quick look as of today. What are some of the setups over here? Now, I think we can still consider the... Yeah, we still can consider the 618, okay, which is a confluence of previous structure here as well. You do have some confluence of today's camarilla at the L4 level. Okay. Yeah. Let me do another measurement, right? Good. That's another 61618. Okay, I'll front run this order a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put it at the 1618. Front run basically means that I'm gonna be a bit aggressive to shift my entry to make sure that if this trade is gonna go, I'm in, right? I want to get involved in it, right? So that's the idea of front running. Okay, because if I put it at a 618, it might come down L4, it doesn't tag it, and then you just go, right? So when I say front run means I'm a little bit more aggressive in that trade. Good. Okay, so yeah, so this is where I'm gonna go in. I can remove this for now. the target here, I'm gonna be like super aggressive and aim for like huge move to the upside, right? Even though we are looking at intraday. Okay. Yeah, so this is the trade idea. Okay, I'm just gonna take a screenshot first. And I put it into a PowerPoint for you guys. Okay, so this second order that we have today is on dollar yen. Okay, for those of you who are following me sometime, you know that I'm super paying close attention to the dollar yen, right? I think that can be a solid trade for this year itself. Okay, so the entry is about 103.60. Okay, stops here is gonna go at 45, right? 103.45. So that's pretty tight, right? You take a look at this, that's like 15 pips, right? 15 pips is really tight. I might even consider a shift is down here. But never mind, we'll just keep it there, right? I think it's, yeah, 15 pips is tight, but let's just keep it there, right? Let's see how it goes. The temporary target right now is 103.95. Okay, we're just gonna keep it here like that. I think if there's anything, we'll just, you know, update along for tomorrow, right? Okay, that's the thing about trading, right? I can't I can't stay in front of the computer 24 hours and, you know, keep monitoring, and I believe you wouldn't want to stay in front of the computer 24 hours. Okay, but anyway, I'll put this order in. Okay, so this is gonna go in here. Let me bring that up. Okay, so this is gonna, oops. Okay, this is gonna go in at, oh, 60 is gonna front run it quite a lot. Okay, never mind. I think because of the scale that we're working on, right? Just put it somewhere around there, okay? Like for me, 103.59 is fine, okay? I'm not gonna be too picky on that. Okay, and of course, this one here just update. Okay, just play around with the area, right? Because I want to make nice number here, okay? But just play around with it, okay? So this one here can be like 97, 98. I think that few couple of pips really doesn't make like a whole lot of difference, okay? But just want to put in some decent number here so that you guys can set some easier psychological reference, okay? Yeah, so this is another trade. I think two trades that we are talking about. Gold, okay, gold. I think just stay out of gold right now, okay. There is setup, but I don't think it's gonna happen today, so just leave it out. Okay, so just a quick review. I think we have one trade on pound dollar, right? This one is here, right? It's a breakout. Let me just go back to a PPT. It's easier here. Okay, so we have one trade on a pound dollar. We have one trade on a dollar yen for today. Okay, and of course we are, for those existing trade, we are looking to manage them. Okay, so New Zealand dollar, we're looking to get out. If you're still in this trade, just shift your target to, you know, close to where you enter, get out of this trade. Euro dollar, if you're following this, we have shift stop to break even since yesterday, right? The target we have adjusted and adjust accordingly. The pound dollar trade that is running, okay, one of it is pending, right? We haven't get in, the other is running. We are also adjusting our target accordingly. Okay, so far I have 3 trades running, 2 new pending orders for the day, and let's see how it goes. Okay, and again, I always say this, always remember to manage your risk. Okay, there's no such thing as kind of like a one-hit wonder or things like that, right? The idea of me doing this here is to really show you the process, the consistency being very important. Okay, the results will take care of itself. That means whether you eventually gonna make money or lose money, the results, let it take care of itself. What you can control over here is, of course, the discipline you put in, okay, the consistency you put in, the risk management you put in, right? How the market move, we can't control that. But as long as we do our part, the results, as I'll say, right, will take care of itself. Okay, so that's all for me. Okay, so I hope you guys benefit and of course pick up valuable lessons along the way according to all this session. Okay, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, same timing at 10 a.m. as well. Okay, so see you guys. Bye bye.